Tom Harris, In Search of Voice. In Search of Voice, Tom Harris.
Everyone has a beautiful voice. You just have to know how to use it. So said Joe Estel, a world-renowned educator, researcher, and singer. Her research has had a huge impact on my life in the past half year. I've found, using her methods, that I can sing! Amazing. Contest judges, contest chair, guests, and fellow Toastmasters. Here's my story. I've been playing guitar for about 54 years, often backing up singers. In our high school rock band, we had to decide who was going to be the lead singer. So we each took voice turns on the microphone, recording it, and then voting for the person who we thought should lead the band. When it came to the vote for my singing, the vote was unanimous. Tom should never be our lead singer. That effectively ended my singing career for 40 years. About a year ago, I was accompanying the singer Dee Vance at the Ottawa Good Companions Seniors Home. And she said to me, "Tom, you should sing a few songs on your own in front of the audience." Whoa! Remembering my high school experience, I found that pretty intimidating. I mean, given the choice between singing solo in front of a live audience or riding over Niagara Falls in a barrel, I'm not sure which I would have chosen. But I did do it, the singing. And no one died, and no one stood up and walked out on me either. So I decided to integrate singing and music into my speeches about space exploration. Aside from Toastmasters, which was invaluable experience practicing at Toastmasters, the first opportunity I had to do that before a live audience was the Science Slam. The Science Slam is a science speech contest that was held last March at the Aviation and Space Museum. So I sang at the contest, and I actually won the contest. I couldn't believe it. Like, oh. And people even told me afterwards how much they enjoyed the music. But when I watched the video of my presentation, I realized I was in serious need of singing training. Dee Vance recommended that I see Meredith Matthews, who teaches voice out of her Vocal Diversity Voice Studio here in Ottawa. I've now had 24 lessons with Meredith, and I'd like to share with you some of what I've learned from her. The lessons have been really fun and actually have shown me that I, unlike my high school friends said, have some potential for singing after all. Meredith teaches a method based on Estel voice training. Estel voice training was created by Joe Estel, the singer I mentioned at the beginning. She actually divided voice into 3 disciplines: craft, artistry, and performance magic. Estel voice training actually focuses on craft, which is learning to use the various components of your vocal instrument. And in fact, you divide that into 3 general components. First of all, it's your power, source, and filter. And the way that works is the power is the air from your lungs that produces the energy to make sound. The source is your vocal cords, which produce the sound waves. And the filter is everything above your vocal cords, which actually modify your sound so that you get your unique voice. And that applies to things like your lips, your sinuses, and everything else. Now, in Estel voice training, there are 13 fundamental exercises. And I'm going to demonstrate 3 of them to you today, and we can even try them out a little bit. The first one is anchoring. And it makes a lot of sense. If you think about it, if you try to sign your name with your hand just floating in midair, it's going to be a pretty wobbly signature. So you anchor your hand on a tabletop, and then you can use the fine muscles to write a proper signature. The same thing applies to the different components of your vocal instrument. For example, if the muscles around your larynx and your vocal cords are not properly engaged, then what happens is your vocal cords are wobbly and the sound you produce is wobbly too. There are two types of anchoring. One is head and neck anchoring, and the other is torso anchoring. And I'll demonstrate how they actually engage each other so as to produce sound. You engage head and neck anchoring by pressing on your forehead gently, like this, okay? And the muscles here become engaged. And that solidifies the muscles around your vocal cords. You engage, and it's interesting because you see opera singers before they go on stage, they'll be pressing against the wall. It doesn't look so good on stage, so you have to learn how to do it isometrically too. Torso anchoring is engaged by pretending you're squeezing oranges under your armpits so that you engage your pectorals, for example, okay? So what I'm going to do is demonstrate a bit of speech, and I should emphasize this applies to speech just as much as it applies to singing. Okay, speech and singing. So here is some speech without anchoring. This is from the Moody Blues. The mighty light of 10,000 suns. Now with anchoring. The mighty light of 10,000 suns. We'll try a little bit of singing without anchoring and then with anchoring. This is from Fire in the Sky by astrophysicist Jordan Kerr. So without anchoring. See our fire in the sky. Now I'll anchor. See our fire in the sky. The second exercise has to do with larynx position, okay? And if you put your finger on your Adam's apple and say silently to yourself, pretending you're Santa Claus, say, ho, ho, ho. Did you notice how your Adam's apple went down? And that actually is indicative of your larynx position. You can't feel your larynx, but you can feel your Adam's apple. Now let's try another one, keeping your fingers there. I'm a little mouse. Did you notice your Adam's apple went up? Estel voice training teaches you how to raise and lower or mid your larynx, any of those three positions, for the same note. So you get totally different voice quality. The third exercise I'm going to demonstrate is very easy. It's lip control. It basically boils down to this. When you're speaking with your voice long, your filter long, you get a low note, you pull back, and you get a high note. Whether you use Estel voice training or any other method of voice control, I encourage everyone to study voice. Because remember, everyone has a beautiful voice. You just have to know how to use it.
A minute, please.